Hey there, FlossTube. This is Alma coming to you from Long Beach, California. Today is Saturday, March 28th of the year 2020, and this is my 13th FlossTube. Time is an illusion now. What can I say? So, welcome to my channel. Welcome back to all of you returning subscribers. Thank you as ever for your continuing support. And if you're new to my channel, then welcome. Happy to have you. I hope you find a reason to stay, to like and subscribe, and to follow me on my stitching journey. I hope that you're all keeping safe and sound during these crazy, unusual times. Hope that you're healthy, that your family and friends and all your loved ones are healthy, and that you're keeping yourself as active and as occupied as you possibly can. We're doing okay. We are doing pretty well at sheltering in place. We tend to just, our lifestyle lends itself to staying indoors anyways, so we really only go outside when we absolutely need to, either to go to buy food, get food and groceries, just things that can't be avoided. But that has led to a lot of lounging around. This is my Sleeping Beauty shirt that I got at Disneyland, which is closed indefinitely. They finally released the notice this morning, first thing I saw this morning, which made me very sad. I mean, it was coming, like we all knew it was coming, but it was still sad to get that notification. It had to happen. They couldn't open at the end of this month as they wanted to. Yeah, it is for the best. Here in Long Beach, they just got around to finally shutting down all the beaches and all the parks and all the trails, because even though we're supposed to shelter in place and we have like 70 confirmed cases, people are still out and about. And there were videos going around of like the trails at the beach, and people are just, they're jogging, they're riding their bikes, they're walking the dogs, but there's still a lot of people. So I think as of this morning, they were still, they finally just closed everything down. So hopefully that'll stay that way. But yeah, again, we're not going outside. I'm still staying very much in place. And yeah, we're just keeping each other entertained, which has led to a lot of stitching time. So without further ado, let's get to the stitching. The first thing I did want to show you guys was a piece that I forgot to mention in my last video. The way that I just set up my spreadsheets, I start my week on Mondays because that's when my stitching challenges start their challenges, the weekly challenges. So sometimes, the projects that I work on between the time I'm filming on Saturday morning and, Monday, sometimes I get lost. Sometimes I just forget to mention them. I've been pretty good about mentioning them or including them. But last week I just forgot. So I did want to mention and this was for a monthly task in Enchanted Stitching. We had to put 300 stitches on an animal. I forget what the prompt was exactly. I think it had to do with the monkey, Captain Barbosa's monkey. But don't quote me on that because I don't remember. Point being is I did pull out my gold collections kit from Dimensions, stacked teacups. And for that one, I did kind of break my my regular method of stitching in order to go ahead and complete the assignment. And I actually did the back stitching on this one as well, because I only got like 275 cross stitches. So you can use back stitching to count. It just counts as half. So whatever back stitches you do have to be doubled in order to count as a full stitch. So I did, again, like 275 cross stitches, and then the rest I just made up with it with the back stitching. So I don't know if this will focus right, but I did, the only thing that I didn't back stitch were his little feet, because that does go into the teacup, and I didn't want to deal with having to go around the back stitching when I completed the stitching, the actual cross stitching on the teacup. And I didn't do the French knot. There's like a little French knot for his eye, so I'll just do that when I actually get around to the rest of the back stitching on it. But for this week's weekly assignments, I did do, or I do plan on doing everything. I still haven't gotten around to some of the prompts, but I have plenty of time still. I have to today and tomorrow. For magical stitches, they were a little bit lenient. I think they wanted to give us as much freedom as they wanted, so that we could stitch on whatever we wanted, whatever the mojo was telling us to stitch on. So they gave us an option of 2 prompts, and we just had to get 1,000 stitches in on either one. And if you couldn't find a project to fit one of the prompts, you had the penalty stitches were like 1,400 instead of 1,000. So I went with option 2. The prompt was to work on the project that you would consider your Mount Everest. So something that you find challenging or that is giving you a little bit of trouble. And for that one, I did pick up Moon Charmer. This is my Heaven and Earth Designs chart based on Amy Stewart's design or art. And I am doing the select the size option just because it was a little bit smaller than the original chart. And I picked this one not necessarily because I find it difficult. I mean, it is difficult. I guess previously I did find it difficult because I was just stitching on one color and that was driving me insane. But it was also about the stitch count. So the way that I related it to the prompt is that, I want to hit 50,000 stitches on that piece by the end of the year, and I only just reached 25K last week. So that's my challenge, right? That's my Mount Everest. I have to climb that climb that mountain and stitch all the stitches in order to achieve that goal. But I'm also using this for, if you saw my video last week, I did mention it as well. I am using this for a monthly challenge for Enchanted Stitches, where you have to stitch on a project with a woman. So you have to put 2,000 stitches on that project. I did 1,000 stitches last week, so this second set of 1,000 stitches was going to go ahead and complete that. So I double dipped with those stitches in order to meet both prompts. But this is what I have so far. If you did see my video last week, then you'll have seen that I did finish the page that I was currently on, and I've decided to go back down to the next row on the left side. So right now I'm filling in. I'm trying to work a little bit on it, just trying to go down as much as I can, just fill, so that I'm not doing the same thing that I did last time, which was to work like I did the 798. and I just worked on that for forever and ever. So I'm like, okay, let's not have that happen again. So I just went ahead and so I'm just working on a little bit of every color at a time. So right now I'm just working on the green and the grays that are here in the trees, but I have put in some stitches on the sky here as well. So I went a little bit over the stitch count. I did 1,176 stitches. So I did a little bit extra. Again, because sometimes I've been watching FlossTube nonstop, so sometimes I just keep stitching and I don't stop stitching until I finish a video, and then I realize, by the time I tally up and I put my stitches in on Pattern Keeper, I realize, oh hey, I stitched more than I needed to. But that was it for magical stitches. We only had the one prompt. For enchanted stitching, we're still with Pirates of the Caribbean. They should announce the next movie soon, because it is the end. We're getting to the end of the month, but it feels like this month has just stretched on forever and ever. So I know we still have like half a week left. Sorry, I just dropped a needle minder. Need to get it back up. But oh, also my Aurora sweater. Just, again, there's a lot of lounging around going around. So but for enchanted stitching, so we're doing Pirates of the Caribbean. One of the prompts we needed to do was to work on something where we've deviated from the pattern or we've made some mistakes on. And this is adhering to the quote from the movie about the pirate code. Everybody says, oh, the code is more like guidelines than actual rules. Of course, there are some that are like, no, the code is law. But again, since people sometimes treat it as guidelines, we had to, that's where the prompt came from. So for that one, so if you saw my last video, then you will remember that I was avoiding working on my flowers of the alphabet piece because it wasn't calling out to me. And when I saw that prompt, I was just like, fine, like I give in. So I did pull out my flowers of the alphabet piece, because for this piece I am not using the called for colors. I am using it as a D-stash piece, and I'm just kind of treating each individual square as like a little small project. So I'll go ahead and look at the called for colors, but then I'll find something similar that I already have in my stash. Because I have a lot. I have a lot of leftover floss. So for that one, I did put in 450 stitches, because it just goes to show what the mojo is like for me. Again, last week I did not want to do it at all, and then this week, once I started doing it, I couldn't stop. So I put in the 200 that was required for, or 250 that was required for the prompt, but then I also used this for one of the ultimate tasks for magical stitches, where you are creating one of the golf courses that is on the Walt Disney Resort. So you have to do 200 stitches per hole in a golf course. So this is where that brought me, and I am feeling, and you can't really tell, but the color that I am using to fill in the background, because I am filling in the background, I've decided it's slightly different than the border, so it doesn't show up too well, but it's like beige, not beige, but more like ecru, sort of, I don't know. But even then you can tell, like the original pattern called for pinks, or they look like pink here, but the actual color was like it was a very interesting combination. It was just two colors, but I didn't particularly like it, so I'm like, well, asters come in, you know, they come in pinks, they come in purples, some of them are actually bluish, so I just decided to go for a more purple violet hue. I did avoid the blue because the next one's going to be B is for bluebell, and then you have L down here, which is lavender. So I already know, like, okay, well, I'm gonna have purples here, so I wanted to give it variety, and I want to make sure that I don't have like a bunch of flowers of the same color all together. But we'll see how that goes. Again, I went from not wanting to stitch on it at all to being like, I'm so happy with this. So there it is. The next prompt that we had for Pirates of the Caribbean was to work on our oldest whip, because it takes Captain Jack Sparrow 10 years to finally achieve his mission of killing Captain Barbossa, of avenging or taking his revenge, I suppose, because it was Barbossa that led the mutiny against him in the first place. So of course, oldest whip for me is my Peter Pan piece. This is one of the out of print kits from MCG Textiles, based on Thomas Kincaid's artwork. This is Tinkerbell and Peter Pan Fly to Neverland. So again, whenever they that shows up a lot, you know, work on your oldest whip. So that's always nice. And for that one, since I am using it for a ultimate task as well, which I finished, by the way, the ultimate task that I was using Peter Pan for in magical stitches, once I put in these stitches, I actually finished that prompt. So it'll be on to the next one. I don't think I'll use it yet for another ultimate task. What I'll do is right now I'll use this for the group event that is open. We have to put in 1,000 stitches each, minimum. So I thought, okay, I'll go ahead and do the 1,000 stitches on this one next time, and then I'll see if I feel like doing another ultimate task on it. I probably will, to be honest. But so last week I worked on this section. I just kept going with it. I kept going with the greens, and then I did start on the house up above, and then worked on the green up here as well. So I'm doing with this one and with Lilac Evening, I'm doing my own variation of parking. I'm not gonna say like, oh, I'm doing parking, guys. No, like, I'm just doing it for the sake of counting, make sure that my counting is easier. Like, I am parking some threads, but not all of them. But so I'll go ahead and show you guys how it looks like overall. If I did the math right, then I have reached 80% completion, which is super exciting, guys. I'm so excited. I can't, like, only 20% to go. Yeah. So there it is. Again, super excited. The group event is definitely going to help me out in still getting things done on this, so I'm very excited. Again, the task only called for 250 stitches, but I doubled it to 500 for the ultimate task. The next prompt we have for magical stitches was to we have to pick a whip that represented each of the 3 men that are vying for Elizabeth's attention. So of course you have Will Turner, Captain Jack Sparrow, because I have like a little thing going on, especially in the second movie. Don't get me started on the second movie. And then of course you have James Norrington, Commodore James Norrington, who proposes to her at the beginning of the movie. So I don't know, I personally am a very big fan of James Norrington. I always thought that, like, yes, like the age gap is a little bit weird, but I don't know, like he always seemed very genuine. So I just chose him. I just went with him. I don't know why I showed you guys this, because I actually have not worked on that prompt. I am using Wonder Woman for that prompt. Let me see, do I have the chart somewhere here? I do. Okay. Yes. So in case this is the first time that that you have joined us, I am working on a Wonder Woman piece, which is a Tilton Crafts chart based on Daniel's Cortex design, and I'm tying this to the prompt. I'm tying this to Commodore James Norrington, because he's always one for justice. He's in charge of the soldiers and everything, so he has a very strong sense of justice, doing right, and taking care and punishing those that don't don't follow the law. So I did go with Wonder Woman because she too has a very strong sense of justice. So I haven't gotten around to this prompt yet, but I will use it, because I'm also using this for a prompt on the Stitchy quest. The Stitchy quest to destroy the One Ring, which is another Facebook group I'm a part of. Their prompt is to work on a whip that has a dark whip, so it can be either the theme is dark and scary, or the actual colors are darks. So that has a lot of black, a lot of dark backgrounds. So I will go ahead and use that for that whip, for that prompt as well. But for Stitchy quest, so that's why that's why you guys kind of saw a sneak peek of the next project I'm showing you. For Stitchy quest, we did have to work on a project that has something that can be opened with a key, and so I did pull out my, also it's the Hobbit, and it's the Stitchy quest. Like, of course I'm gonna go ahead and use that the whip. So this is Bilbo's home. The pattern is by Mandrix Design. So this has a door which can be opened with a key, but the prompt said that you had to work on the actual item that could be opened with a key. So since I wasn't there yet, I went with the penalty stitches, which was 600. So the original prompt was 300 stitches. Penalty stitches are always, you are always just double the amount of what you need to do. So I went ahead and did 626 stitches on it, which was pretty much like one color almost. So this is what I've gotten done so far. But the last time you saw this, I did reach the edge. It is, yeah, so I did reach this edge of the pattern, so now I'm just filling in this doorway. I did have a little bit of a problem with this, because when you buy a pattern from her, when you buy a pattern from Mandrix Design, she gives you two copies. She gives, well, two patterns. She gives you a pattern that has no half stitches and no back stitching, and then she gives you a second version which has all of it. And what I didn't know was that you are meant to use that first pattern first and then go forward with the second pattern, because the issue that I ran into was that I noticed that the symbols for she used what looked like the same symbols for both full stitch and half stitch. So so I freaked out. I'm like, how do I know if it's the same symbol? How do I know if I'm supposed to stitch it as a full cross or as a half stitch? So of course I reached out. I found her, I mean, I already followed her on Instagram, so I just reached out. I was like, hey, I just ran across this problem. What do I do? And she explained. She's like, you know, this is you know why I give you two patterns, and I'm sorry, but like technically, apparently, the half stitch symbol is not the same. It's just a very like a smaller version of the full stitch, so it is sometimes hard to tell. I can't tell, so so it's technically not the same symbol. It's just a smaller version of the full cross symbol. So the one color that I did work on, of course, was actually supposed to be half stitch, but I'm gonna keep it. I'm not about to unpick over 600 stitches, so I can do it all over again. Plus, like, it's a doorway, so it's supposed to be dark anyways. So I'll just keep it. You know, I do like the coverage. And I'll just adjust. Moving forward, I will go ahead and work with that second copy that she provides. Because it matters, you know, in her patterns, it definitely matters to use half stitches. I mean, it matters in any pattern you do. Yeah, that at first I panicked, you know, because I thought, am I gonna have to unpick this? Like, no, because fun fact, I have decided to restart my Mirabilia piece. This is the one that I started last month. This is Portrait of Veronica, and I was very excited to start this piece. It is my first Mirabilia, and I just picked 18 count Ada because that's what I always use and that's what I know. And I thought, like, it's okay, like, you know, people can use whatever they want on this, but it didn't, like, hello, beading. I was like, because I looked at the pattern, I'm like, oh, there's some fractional stitches, you know, for the pro, because she is, you know, she's turning, so, I mean, I don't know if you guys had to physically see me turn, but but, you know, she is turning, so there are some fractional stitches on her profile, like for the nose, and her hands also have fractional stitches. But I thought it's okay, like, the fabric is soft, I can go ahead and puncture the Ada, I don't mind. I know people don't like sometimes. Do I have the actual no, I guess I don't have the fabric handy, but point of the story is I'm restarting. I'll use that fabric for something else, but I will go ahead and restart Veronica on a 16 count because I do have some size 8 beads that I need to put into the piece, and I don't think those will work with 18 count. So lesson learned, you know, if a model is stitched on 32 count, then do it. So yeah, so having realized that I was going to have to restart one piece, then like 2 days later I realized, do I have to restart two? Like, it was just not a good time. But I won't restart Bilbo. I'll just keep it as is. I'll adapt the stitches on the doorway, but then following that little frame, I'll just go ahead and work with the second pattern so I can add the half stitches as need be. So back to the stitching. The next prompt that we needed to do for the Stitchy Quest was to work on a piece that resembled or symbolized wealth for us. And this is all adhering to Bilbo entering Smaug's lair, right? So Smaug has like all this treasure. The thing with the key is because they need a key to enter his lair. So wealth, again, wealth for his stash, his treasure. So for that one, I did of course pick up my Realist kit. This is Lilac Evening, and I am using the materials that came with the kit. I believe, yeah, it's a 14 count beige Ada or Zweigart. Yeah, Zweigart. And it does use anchor threads. Because she's, you know, if she isn't the picture of wealth and poise, then I don't know what is. So, and she too was also one of those projects that I got obsessed with. Like I did do the called for stitches. You were only supposed to do 250 stitches for the prompt. I ended up stitching on her for 648. Those 648 stitches brought me to, I finished her head. So I officially finished her head, I finished her hair and the little headband that she wears. And I got started on the hat. So I'm working on the background of the hat, and again, this is one of the pieces that I'm kind of sort of parking, but not really, for the sake of just doing row by row, and making counting easier, since I will be using this for so some of the ultimate tasks in magical stitches. So yeah, so this is where she is at. She is beautiful, and I don't know if you can tell by the lighting. I'm trying to get the lighting because I am starting on the white. There's some white going over here on the side. But yeah, I stitched on her. This was yesterday's project. I just was very much in love with it, and so I just kept going and going until I had to eat. I forget what we did, but I stopped on her and just, yeah, it wasn't because I got bored with it. It was just because I needed to do something else. So yeah, so that was another one of the prompts. The next one we had for Stitchy Quest was we had to work on a piece that's either, I think it was the name of the piece or the designer's name, the artist's name. It had to start with one of the letters in the name Smaug, right? S-M-A-U-G. So, and this could be like, if you're using name, it could be first or last name. So for that one, just because I felt like it, I worked on Tuscan Home. So I just went ahead and used the A in Alexandra Gavrilova. This is a Heaven and Earth Designs chart. I am using this for another ultimate task in magical stitches, which is why I also wanted to go ahead and take that out. So I think, so for that task, Stitchy Quest sometimes does the thing where they have you roll a die, and then that determines the amount of time or the number of stitches they need to work on a prompt for. So that was one of the prompts that did go ahead and do that. It was, I'm trying to see, oh, I don't have it on that side, I have it on this side. Okay, sorry, it's a mess. I mean, it's been a week. But so that was one of the prompts where you did have to roll a die to determine the amount of hours that you needed to work on a piece. So I rolled a 4, and I ended up doing about 500 stitches. And I say about because I just finished, like after doing those 4 hours, I just go ahead and rounded it up to, like, I kept going until I hit those 500 for the sake of that ultimate task. So again, it's not much to look at because it's still just one color. It's blue 775. So I just worked on this diagonal, and I'm gonna go ahead and start the bottom again. I don't really stitch like this, so I'm just like, that's generally what I'm doing, but I'm not sticking to that 100%. I'm just doing whatever it is I want. But yeah, so this got 500 stitches out of nowhere. Well, not out of nowhere. It fit the prompt, so I went ahead and worked with it. Yeah, that piece has one of the smaller stitch count goals that I have for my pieces. Right now for that one, I only need to do about 100 stitches a week in order to meet the goal of hitting 5,000. So I think I'm at like 2,500. So yeah, I really don't have to. It's even less because so it's less because some of my pieces are like closer to like the 50 range, but there's no way I'm gonna do just 50 stitches on a piece. I'm barely okay with doing 100 stitches. So for those that are like 50-ish, I still round out to 100. So it's like way less than 100 stitches. But anyways, so I did get 500 stitches done because I do want to work. If you watched my video last week, I'm trying to do the March Madness, finish as many goals as possible. So since that is one of the pieces that I can reach that goal sooner than most of my other pieces. That's why I'm trying to put in as many stitches as possible. So I will go ahead and keep working on that this week as well. Another piece that we needed to do for Stitchy Quest was we needed to work on a whip that had a cup. So I do have a couple, but for that one I did pull out the teacup display. This is a Design Works kit based on Joan Elliott's art, and again, this is one of the projects that I do want to finish. It is a quicker stitch than most of my pieces, so I'm using that as an incentive to go ahead and keep going on it. And for that one, the prompt only called for 100 stitches, but again, since I am using it for an ultimate task in magical stitches, I went ahead and did 500, which last time you saw it, I had just finished the blue border that's here. So those 500 stitches got me this inside, which is like, it's stitched on, I don't know if you can see it, but it's stitched on like this really like light olive sort of green, and there's actually 2 shades of green in there. So I'll go ahead and keep working on the border of the top, but this also is the beginning of the shading of the plate, the center plate that's in the piece. So I'll go ahead and do the shading as well, since it's the same color. I'm already working on the color, so might as well. But yeah, this was actually really soothing to work on because it is just a repeating pattern. Like once I got the hang of, like, you know, the first, like, you know, the first 10 by 10 square, like I'm like, oh, okay, this is what the pattern is. Oh, okay, I got it. So I just kept going. Like I didn't even have to count. I didn't have to look at the pattern until I got closer to the top corner where I knew that this little motif started. but yeah, actually, again, I really enjoyed it. Unfortunately, the top row, because it does, because that's where the plate is as well, the most of the border is cut off. So this top row will be, I will go ahead and have to look at the pattern for that, because it won't be just straightforward same motif over and over again. It's gonna have variations. But that did get the 500 stitches for the ultimate task. But that was the entirety of the weekly challenges. What did I work on next? Oh, so again, if you saw my video last week, then you will know that last weekend was House Pride Sal with Lady Wings Designs, Zakiya. So for that weekend, house as in Hogwarts houses, right, from Harry Potter. So you were supposed to stitch on any project whatsoever that had to do with Harry Potter. So I'm gonna go ahead and link. I just needed to get my whip. So for that weekend, I pretty much just focused on the Hogwarts castle, because that is my right now it's the only Harry Potter project that I have. And this is charted by the Stitching Girl. This is no longer listed on her Etsy shop. I did get this several years ago, so I did work on that throughout the weekend. And I almost hit 1,400 stitches on this last weekend. I did 1,387 stitches, which is insane. It's insane. Yeah, so so another thing that happened this week, and it was on the last day of that sale. It was Ravenclaw Day. It was on Monday, which was a great way to start the week. Zakiya and I did one of those like chat with me, stitch with me videos. She does them on a regular basis. Usually they're weekly. Sometimes she does skip a week, but nobody's, getting mad. We had originally planned to video chat anyways, and then so she just asked, she's like, hey, are you okay with like just making this a video? We just sit there and talk as we normally would talk, but we'll just be filming it, and this will eventually go up on YouTube. And I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? So I'll go ahead and link, I always link whenever I mention FlossTubers. I always link them below, but I'll go ahead and include the link to that video specifically. I'm gonna just fair word of warning, it is long. That chat ended up becoming a lecture. It's like an hour and a half long, so feel free to, grab a project, grab a drink and settle in, because it was so much fun though. Oh my goodness, we had a really good time. But yeah, so during that video I was working on this because it was the end of the House Pride weekend sale. So yeah, so almost 1,400 stitches on this, which yeah, so if you remember, I was like doing a lot of confetti up here as well, but now I'm just starting on the black. So I'm kind of outlining here now, and I'll just go ahead and fill in. So this I usually do column by column, but I'll just let it go for that section because it is just straight up black, and it's a lot easier to stitch that way. But yeah, those 1,400 stitches didn't even bring me, like, when I did the average count for, I did do so at the end of every month I do recalculate my weekly stitch count based on, you know, what I did the previous month, and then just be like, okay, well, because sometimes I go over, sometimes I go under. So I always recalculate and see how it differs. So the average, I think for that one, the average ended up being like 500.6, which I'm just like, or no, it was, I don't know, it was something like super close, and I'm just like, I just remember thinking like, dang it, I'm still gonna have to round up. I think it was like 490 or something. So it did go down, but the average is still 500 stitches. So close. But I mean, that just goes to show, like, if I keep working on this, then I'll go ahead and I think I'll be able to go down to 450 pretty soon. But I'll talk about that a little bit later. Another piece that I did work on was, of course, again with Zakiya, I'm doing a little bit of a style. We're both stitching a chart by Mystic Stitch called Change of Seasons 2. And for this one, we are aiming for a finish in 8 years. We started this on Leap Day, so we're gonna, at first we wanted to finish it in 4 years, you know, so the next Leap Day, that was gonna be too hard. So we're now aiming for the following Leap Day in 8 years. So for that one, originally it was supposed to be like almost 1,000 stitches per week, and then since we cut we extended the deadline to twice the amount, so I was doing 500 daily stitches for like the last week or 2 weeks. So this is what I got to. Last week I worked on this bottom area right here to hit the edge of the page, and so this week I decided, okay, well, I hit the bottom edge, so now I want to hit the side edge. So I did go ahead and work on the side, on the top rows, in order to hit that corner as well. So now I really just have to fill all this in, so I can be done with that one color for this one page. But because I put in 1,000 stitches for the first few weeks, my weekly average, instead of being 500, is now 350. So that's exciting. 350 is very manageable, for sure. It's a lot different than the 950 that I was doing first, and then even 500 is still good. 500, I have several pieces that have 500 average on weekly stitches, but 350 is very nice. So another thing that I did work on was another prompt for enchanted stitching. We needed to work on a project that started with each letter in Captain Jack Sparrow's name, so CJS. For C, I had used Change of Seasons. For J, I used June. And so this week I did pick up Snow to use for the S, for Sparrow. This is a Tilton Crafts chart based on Daniel Kordick's design. And I am also using that for an ultimate task and magical stitches. So even though the prompt only called, I think, for like 250 stitches, yeah, 250 stitches each, I went ahead and doubled it to 500 for the ultimate task. So I'm finally getting around to some, again, after working on so much white, I was like, I need color. So I just picked this blue because it had a lot of stitches on it. But that did, like, the page break is like somewhere up here, I think. So so once I do finish this length of thread, I'll go ahead and work on this section right here, because I do want to finish a page. But yeah, so this got 500 stitches. I worked on this yesterday as well, last night, while catching up on YouTube, FlossTube. I discovered so I don't know why I didn't know that this FlossTuber was around. His name is Parkhopper Bart, guys. He's fairly new, I think. Well, fairly, I mean, he's been around longer than I have. I think he started back in September of 2019. I mean, his handle is Parkhopper. So I was like, even just with the handle, I mean, God bless Two Martini Stitcher, Erin. She posted on her story, like, you know, a picture of herself, like, stitching while she was watching him. And so, like, she tagged him. So I'm like, hold up, like, Parkhopper? Did you say Parkhopper? So instant follow, like, I was like, I am down. Oh my god, he's amazing, guys. Like, he does a lot of Disney stuff. He's working on the Stitching Book Club samplers. He did the Pride and Prejudice one when it was out, and he's going to start on the Three Musketeers, which Garrett over at Coffee Stitcher is also doing. So I'm so happy. Like, I was watching his videos, I'm like, look at this, look at that. I was very happy. So I was very glad to have found him. So that's who I was watching when I was doing all this. I just binge watched all his FlossTube. I think I have one more to go, which I'm excited for because it's a whip parade. But yeah, like, I just binge watched his videos. I think I did it over like 2 nights. But yeah, so I worked on Snow while I was working on him because it's just one color. It was easy. I didn't have to think about color changes and stuff, so it was nice. But yeah, that's all I worked on. I did forget to say, for change of seasons, I put in 576 stitches because, again, at that point I didn't know that my average was going to be lower, so I just put in the 500 because I knew that was about what we were going to need. But that is all I have stitched on. Oh, yeah, because there's nothing else to do. So I worked on those. I do want to work on Wonder Woman to finish off the prompts. So the one prompt for Commodore Norton and Enchanted Stitching, and then for Stitchy Quest the Dark Whip prompt. So yeah, so that does it for March for me. Again, I know we still have a few days left, but I'm just treating this as the last the last video. It'll be my last video. Next time I see you guys, it will be April. Which brings me to plans. So yesterday, Jessie Marie did pull the next 2 numbers for our WhipGo board. So that was another thing. So when I did do the prompts with Bilbo for this week, that did bring me to 2,300 stitches. So Bilbo was one of the focus pieces for this month for WhipGo, as was Change of Seasons. Change of Seasons, the monthly goal was to hit 1,000. And then for Bilbo, since that I do want to finish that piece this year, I doubled it to 2,000 stitches this month, like the month that it's called. So I did go ahead and work on that, and she did pull the next 2 numbers, which were 11 and 25. So I went ahead and, since I did finish the 2 goals for this month, I went ahead and filled it in. But look, so my number 11 was Wonder Woman. I was very happy when she pulled that in, because again, I'm gonna be working on it for the prompts, but I won't start counting. So for her, again, the goal is to do 1,000 stitches this month, since it's called, but I won't start counting until it is actually April. So I will continue since it is still Bilbo's month right now. I'll go ahead and continue to work on him, doing the half stitches properly this time. But she did pull 25, which if you see, so the last row here, I left blank so that I could have room for new starts. So I did mention in the last video, I told you guys, I jinxed myself. I said I low-key hope that she does not call a number in the bottom row, because I can't with new starts right now. What does she do? She calls 25. But thank you to Moira from the Stitchy Quest. I love those ladies. So we have actually created a Discord. I think so you're only allowed on the Discord server if you're actually part of Stitchy Quest. But we've been chatting, we've been sharing each other's whips and whatnot. So that's one of the things that has kept me sane during these times. But she is responsible. She is solely responsible for finding my new start for the month of April. I don't get many Spirited Away patterns. People, these are so rare. And she shared this. She's like, oh, I wish I could start this. I may one of these days. And I was like, where can I find that pattern? I need it in my life. So I think she found this on like the Russian Facebook page. The designer name is Ekaterina Saitova. But yeah. I'm so excited to start this, guys. It's beautiful. I'm freaking excited. I can't wait. And you guys remember I started a monochromatic piece called Fairy Moon, which I used a dyed fabric for. I still have plenty of fabric left over. So. I think this will look very well. I'm very excited. I'm so excited. Super excited. Super excited. So yes, so the universe, good things were happening in the universe when this happened, even though I originally did not want any new starts. So yes, so that will be the April focuses for WIPCO. And for full coverage fanatics, we're also moving on to April's. They have a year-long non-stitch count style where they go around the world, and every month they focus on a different country. So this month was Canada. Yeah, this month was Canada, so I used Change of Seasons because it has like the winter season. I'm like, hey, there's snow in Canada. The flag has white. So I did use that for that as well. But we're moving on to Egypt this month. So I'm using Esmeralda because she's wearing a lot of jewelry, a lot of gold. The Egyptian flag has black in it, so she has black hair. And gypsies travel in caravans, which you can also associate with Egypt. So yeah, so she'll get some love, which I'm very excited for. I love this piece, so I'll try to use her for as many prompts as possible. So that is one thing that is going to happen eventually. I did want to take a little bit of time to make you guys aware, in case you didn't know, that there is, during these times where we have to do our best to keep each other's to keep well and stay, you know, as relaxed as possible and as calm as possible. There is a movement going on in Instagram and I guess Facebook too. The hashtag for it is Be Well and Stitch. So a lot of designers, a lot of pattern designers are coming together, and they are offering usually free charts, you know, to kind of help us stay, you know, stay active, stay busy. So if you are on Instagram, I highly encourage you to go ahead and look at that hashtag, because there are plenty of designers that are uploading incredible things. So I, of course, went ahead and bought, well, not bought, but like I downloaded like a million of them. So I'll just show you a few, some of my favorites. This is Be Well by the Drawn Thread. And I actually have already, the reason why I've got this is because I did see somebody who had finished it. They kind of put their own variations on it. They used a very graded thread. It changes colors. Words are hard. But so this was one that I got. This one, I mean, I guess if it's free, you can see, but I'll try to hide the chart just in case. This is by the Cottage Garden Samplings. Cottage Garden Samplings. So this is theirs. It's called Be Well. And I mean, they even show the pattern on Instagram. Like, again, since these are free, like, but it's okay. I'll just not show you the pattern just for the sake of covering myself. But they actually, so for this one, they showed two versions. So if you want to stitch on a dark fabric or a light fabric, I think this is the dark version. I'm not sure. It might have been the light one. I think the main difference is the color of the bird. I think if you get the dark fabric on light colors, I think the bird is white. I mean, you can choose your own colors anyways, but I tend to work on light, you know, white Ada. So I did get that to stitch on. And then the first one that I got, which, like, it was just one of those things where it's like, if I'm only getting one pattern, it has to be this. This is by Ryan over at Wild Violet Cross Stitch. Sorry, I was like showing half the chart. Good job, Alma. It's beautiful. I thought this was so pretty. Yeah, as far as the fabric goes, I don't know. I honestly, like, this is making me want to go ahead and see if I can find or dye my own fabric, because I love this. I love this so much. So that's another one that I found that was really pretty. And there was also this one by Erica Michaels. I believe this is a Shakespeare quote. I believe so. But yeah, I thought this was really pretty. And again, like, honestly, like, this needs to be my mantra right now, because Lord knows it's getting to me. Like, I can't lie. This is all getting to me. So this, I need this to, yeah, to just remind myself that my energy affects people around me as well. There was another one. I haven't printed. There's two more. So speaking of Park Hopper Bart, he actually uploaded. It's not necessarily like themed, like Be Well and Stitch. But he's doing, again, like the purpose of the movement is to give us things that will make us feel good, that'll relax us. And so he actually uploaded his Arabesh sampler, which is Star Wars. It's the Star Wars like alphabet, I suppose, which he'd already had. He uploaded that pattern a while ago, but he's offering it for free now. And then I also got another pattern, which I can't I again, just because I don't, you know, you're technically not allowed to show patterns on screen. These are free, but I'll just, you know, go for the caution side. It's by Atelier Soed Ed, which Ed, I'm not quite sure how you spell it. But it's a cute little sampler. She has like, it's maybe like this big, and she has like a border on the top, a border on the bottom, and then she has stay and stitch. Yeah, it's backwards land. So yeah, so on the right side it says stay and stitch, and then on the right side, like smaller, it says stay safe, and then so because you're supposed to be reading it like this, right? So it's stay safe, stay at home, and then it says and stitch, and then on that side at the bottom it has like the stork sewing needles, which I thought was cute. So I did get that as well. But yeah, I'll link all of these below. But again, you can always find them on Instagram using the hashtag, but I'll go ahead and link the individual people's Instagram pages, so you can go ahead and access, because you would just have to go to the Instagram page and then follow the, you know, the link is in the bio, so you can follow that as well. But yeah, I just hope that, you know, if you do, like, what I'm gonna do is I will go ahead and stitch those patterns, but I'll go, like, you know, you want to give them credit, obviously. For the moon crystal one, so it's one of those things where they tell you it's free. There's an option where you name a fair price, and you can't, well, at least when I was trying to do it, it won't let you choose zero. Like, you have to do something. I guess maybe you can choose like a penny or something, I don't know. But I was just like, you know what, like, you guys are doing this for us, so I went ahead and bought it as if I was buying like a regular pattern. But that's it. The rest, I'm like, sorry, not sorry, I'm on a budget, but I am going to just work on the freebies, because again, this is all for us stitchers to kind of, you know, they're just watching out for us, keeping an eye out for us, and trying to make sure that we all stay, you know, stay safe, you know, be well, and we have plenty of stitching things to do. So yeah, so I do realize this went a little bit over. Oh my gosh, like, my videos are usually long to begin with, but there was just a lot to show and a lot to talk about. So I will go ahead and sign off. Again, I hope you guys stay safe and sound, and yeah, until next time, happy stitching, guys. Bye.